Ed Ogeron met with the SEC media on the teleconference this morning. We've got some sound we want to get to, and we'll kind of add some thoughts. I was out at practice yesterday and saw what looks to be a team that's getting a little healthier, and Ed Ogeron certainly alluded to that. The first guy he talked about was Ty Davis-Price.
Yeah, I think Ty's going to play. He had a minor injury. Just got some treatment yesterday. I think he's going to come back either today or tomorrow, but he should play.
It wasn't out there yesterday, but it doesn't sound like it's too significant, and that's a guy that I would expect to see out there. I think the more important situation here is you're talking about Jay Ward, a guy who is probably your best safety and a guy who has not been out there. You're facing a team that's going to throw it around the yard. Ward needs to be out there.
I do think he's going to play, and it's everything. All the indications are he is going to play. His experience, his playmaking ability, can tackle in space. He's a corner now playing safety. He can cover. We can bring him down in the box. He has great awareness, and he just has confidence about himself.
Oh yeah, Jay Ward just he flashed to me. I think he's one of the better defensive backs in this secondary. And just talking to the coaches heading into the season, they thought he could be a first round pick next year. And watching him play, I wasn't shocked. I think he made a huge leap from his freshman year going into this season, and we saw in that UCLA game just how well the defense was playing with him, rotating and being in that secondary. So I'm excited to see him get back. I know the secondary is excited to have him back, and I think he's going to be a big difference maker.
He was out there yesterday, no contact jersey, and was moving great. I don't see why he would not play. Ed Ogeron said it right there. I think he is ready to go. I mean, that's a Tuesday practice I'm looking at, and he's out there full speed with the ones. I don't have any reason to believe that he won't play. So that, to me, is the biggest development of the entire practice yesterday. Is out there in the media session, Jay Ward moving and running through. It's like you said, they need guys that can cover out there. And if you've got to bring a safety down to help cover on a third down situation, that's the guy you want to bring down there. It's not necessarily Major, who had to pick last week, but that's playing free out there playing center field. Todd Harris does not really look the same. I don't know if Jordan Tolles is the guy you want out there running around on crossing routes. Yeah. Jay Ward's the guy, and Cam Lewis has done a decent job the last couple of weeks. But Jay Ward's the guy they got to have out there, and I think that there's a good chance that he will be out there. The other guy that was not mentioned as far as I could see on the teleconference, but it was Ali Gay. He was out there, and he was popping pads. He had a no-contact jersey on, but that to me looks like a guy who's ready to go. So certainly you see Andre Anthony move off the field, Ali Gay coming back in. You'd like to have both of them. Anthony's done for the year, but you do look like you're getting Gay back, and this is a huge week for him.
Oh, yeah, you got to have Ali Gay back this week, especially with Andre coming down. Then you really be down to, two guys that you really have faith in, Mason Smith and B.J. Ojolari. But after that, it's kind of guys who really haven't played that many snaps this season. So getting Ali Gay back is huge. You kind of can make a rotation at the end now with him coming back, and they're going to drop back and pass it a ton of times. So you need to have as many fresh rushers as you can, especially Saturday.
Charles Cross is Mississippi State's left tackle. He was the offensive lineman of the week in the league 2 weeks ago. He was a 5-star recruit, one of the top players in the country, and is their best offensive lineman. So LSU's pass rushers will have their hands full, but by the same token, so will Charles Cross, because LSU obviously leads the nation in sacks, leads the nation in tackles for loss, all that jazz. We mentioned that yesterday, but I was glad to go out there to practice when they put the pads on and we're getting out there for a competition Tuesday that Ali Gay was out there and ready to go. Speaking of left tackle, LSU right now doesn't necessarily have one, and that's a concern, but something that Ed Ogeron is looking at practice this week.
Yes, and no doubt. And in fact, that's exactly what I walked in the offensive line room and told him, who's going to be our left tackle? I don't know. We got to compete. And whoever practices better this week is going to play. So we got guys that are fighting for it.
What did you make of the left tackle play last week?
I thought it would have been a lot worse than it was. I think Xavier did a good job battling. There were some good blocks he did to give Max some time. Max had a lot of time, especially some of those deep balls down the field. But if they feel like there's some other guys in that lineup that gives them a better chance, then I would love to see that. I thought Bradford would make that leap and make that step this year. I thought he'd get a lot more opportunities. But Xavier played okay last week. But if Coach O feels like there's guys that can battle, then let's see who they think's the best.
Xavier Hill, Garrett Dellinger, and Anthony Bradford is not out of the running at that spot. I was looking at that, had a conversation. That's not a done deal. It is an open competition at left tackle, and I'm certain I wasn't out there the entire practice yesterday. I left just briefly after the media did, but that's going to be one. They're going to rotate guys in at practice this week and try to find out in terms of what we want to do with this game plan, who needs to be out there and who's doing it the best. That isn't an ideal situation, but I think it does, bring out a competition aspect, which I know the coaches like and I know that you like.
Oh yeah, I love the competition. I think you wake up in the morning and you better be firing on all cylinders, or there's going to be somebody going to come out there and take your job. So I think that's beautiful for that room. I think there's some ton of guys who are ready for an opportunity, and if they can somehow come in that lineup and play well, who knows? Cam Wire may not see that spot again. You can go out there and you do a really good job starting SEC play, and if somebody starts to come into their own, that can be their spot to take for the year.
I didn't mention Cam Wire in that. It doesn't look good for me sitting here on Wednesday at lunch for him to play in this game. I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not a doctor, and I certainly haven't talked to Cam or the offensive line coach. It appears to me, based on going out there to practice and Cam not being out there for the media sessions, and then Ogeron saying it's an open competition, that to me is pretty clear evidence in the tea leaves that you're looking at a guy who's probably not ready to go this week. So they're gonna look around and try to find somebody. I've asked you this before, but I'll go back to it. Now we've seen him play 3 games. Does it help at all that Max is left-handed and has that left side of his offensive line right between his eyes?
Oh yeah. It's a great thing. I think Deculus getting him back was huge last week, and getting his feet underneath him, and really be Max's blind side. And something that we did last week that I would love to see a lot more. We were chipping our backs and tight ends. Besh got some big chips. And then we were letting Josh Williams and TDP chip on the edge too. And I think you're going to need that with these 2 tackles that we have, especially in obvious passing situations. So I think Deck being on that weak side and Max's blind side is definitely beneficial. But we need to shore up this left tackle, and I'm excited to see who really earns that spot going into the game.
One of the biggest stories throughout camp and throughout the last couple of weeks is the continuity of the offensive front and what those guys look like. And they've been practicing with different guys to their right and left every single practice, every single week, and going out there every single game with a different crew. It just hasn't quite meshed the way that you would have hoped.
We haven't gelled yet like we want to. Those guys are trying. It seems like one day we have this guy in, one day we have that guy in. As you know, that line's got to gel and play together. We still haven't found a left tackle. I don't know if Cam Wire hadn't practiced yet is going to be ready to play, so we're trying out some of the young guys. We put them in last week. They didn't play very well. They know it. They weren't ready to play. And so we have to find a left tackle until we get guys practicing all day, all week together. This is going to be an ongoing process.
And even so, their play was better last week due to a number of factors. I mean, the biggest was Max getting the ball out more quickly, and he was more decisive. I don't know if that's a product of the offensive front, picking up protections a little bit better, Max's confidence, the tempo. It's probably all of it, but it just looked better last week one way or another.
Yeah, I think we spread them out a lot more, and then we had Besh out there a ton of snaps. He played a lot more snaps than he did, and I think anytime Max saw Besh uncovered, split out wide, he was just hooking up on a 5-yard hitch route. And if you don't cover that, we'll take that all day. And I think the beautiful thing about that is him being a former receiver, he's great after catch. So if you don't get a body on him quickly, he's going to, make you pay after the catch. So I think we're going to continue to do those things. I think that's the smartest thing to do. Try to spread those guys out, get the least amount of guys in the box as possible. And if they don't want to put guys in that box, then hand the ball off and let our backs, make some hay. So I like what Pete's has done with this offense. I like the progression they've been making. Let's continue to do those things heading into Starksville.
Yeah, so as we start to kind of look forward to Mississippi State, as you look at the injury ledger, obviously Andre Anthony out, obviously Glenn Logan still out. Looks like Cam Wire right now out, but coming back. Ali Gay, Ty Davis-Price coming back. It looks like Armani Goodwin is not quite there. He was not a guy he was in a non-contact jersey yesterday, was going through some of the drills, but I don't think he's quite ready to go yet. We'll see as the week moves forward whether or not he's ready to go. But Jay Ward coming back, I think, a huge deal for this team.